Can you do anything with consoles that are RF only?
No,
Okay.
no. Even with an independent power supply, there's just nothing you can do to boost that signal. It's just too weak. Um, I It was the last project I worked on before I was dismissed, but Hyperkin's Retron 77 made an emulator-style Atari system.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to know what their sales numbers were, but they won't release that to me because I know exactly how to remake retro systems on an emulation basis. It's kind of my specialty. Um, but that would probably be the only way to revive some of those old consoles.
Okay. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
hoping for an Intellivision option. I've plugged it into a VCR and then passed it through the retro tank to capture the footage, but you get a lot of
Huh.
noise. Quite frankly, this thing is the best device I've ever used for the Nintendo 64.
A lot of people do that, but personally, I like the N64 controller. I know it's kind of weird. Yeah, it hurts my fingers, but there's a certain nostalgia there. The only problem is I can't find anyone to play it with me. Not in France, at least. Yeah.
Well, I was already grown by the time that thing came out. I was in college, and once I moved from N64 to PlayStation, and I was like, all right, I'm done with N64. Unless something came out that I absolutely had to play, I was a PlayStation loyalist for the next 3 generations.
Yeah.
Up until this one, now I'm back to Switch. So, but the GameCube, I like the GameCube controller. I tolerate the N64 controller, but my hands are way too big for that thing now.
Yeah.
So just to mention something about the N64 controller, that came at a time where everything was in a transition, you know. So I get why it has the Trident design because you didn't know if you were going to have more side scrollers where you needed to hold the two outer sides. But most games focused on the middle one and the right. But they advertised as you could be 3 different configurations. I completely get that. Virtual On would be perfect for that type of thing. And if they actually used shooters back then that way, you'd be able to move and strafe with the D-pad and then aim your target with the joystick. It would have been great.
Yeah.
But
It's funny you mentioned Virtual On. I missed that game a lot. Yeah.
I have it on the PC. I don't have it on anything else, but I have it on the PC somewhere up there.
Do you have the dual joysticks?
No, no.
Okay.
Honestly, I could never get
Those are
into it.
expensive.
But
Yeah.
I don't think you could be able to see this either. But yeah, there you go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Looks like
it's
a.
an 8-bit too controller.
Okay.
It's got the twin sticks. It's like a PlayStation controller, and I love it.
Yeah, his controllers are actually very good. So what happens is here in over in the manufacturing side of things, if you were going to make a controller, it needs to be tuned properly. Like some guy needs to go in there and make sure the silicon is the right hardness, diameters, the plastic is the right height. It's always good to have an inverted D-pad, but that increases the manufacturing cost. And most factories are like, okay, are you going to pay for it? No. Well, then I'm going to go the cheap route, which makes sense
Yeah.
because they don't care. In China, they didn't grow up on video games at all. So,
Yeah, they, as I recall, even the NES had a. It was what was it Hitachi who ported it over there, or that was Korea where they had the Dendy. I'm trying to remember.
so the Dendy was a state-sponsored Russian knockoff.
Oh, okay, I'm completely off.
Yeah.
Completely the wrong
And
country.
yeah, so South Korea had a total ban on Japanese goods. They didn't, I don't think they even had a knockoff, to be honest. So they just went straight for emulation, which was legal, because stealing from your national enemy is okay. And then China just had a bunch of clones, so they were used to bad quality.
Yeah.
Even if you find a Chinese person that liked video games from that era, they have no idea what a quality controller feels like because they only had garbage. Yeah.
My wife grew up in the Philippines, and she had a Famicom, and I didn't know that they imported from Japan, or maybe it was the one for Korea. I have no idea how they got it. She didn't even know what it was called. We were at a retro game store. She goes, "I had one of them." So I asked if we could see it, and I showed it to her. She goes, "Yeah, it's a Famicom."
Sweet. Yeah.
She doesn't have it anymore. Her mom's currently at my house, but because she can't go home due to COVID,
Mm.
so she'd be quarantined for 2 weeks. So she's currently in my house, which is fine. She's it's nice having her around the house. But I asked the last time she was in her house in the Philippines if she could look to see if she could find it, as opposed
Hey,
to
she might have some. Yeah, she might have some rare titles, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
1980s had a Famicom. Wow. Oh wow! I just realized my light really just got dark, and now I do not look normal at all. I'm gonna turn that off.
You actually look kind of cool this way.
Do I? I kind of look like death, or the Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yeah, you do. Actually, I was thinking Star Wars right there. I've seen N64 smoothing, and I didn't like it. But that's a personal opinion. I guess some people would.
So the N64, that wasn't my predominant system, and quite frankly, if Nintendo would ever release games on the Switch for that, I'd be perfectly happy with that. But they don't.
Hmm?
So
Well, the
the
N64 doesn't really have a great library either.
I
I mean,
know.
I grew up on N64, but it was pretty much just GoldenEye and was it ISS Soccer 97?
I never
You got a lot of
the
shelving back there. Are those old consoles?
no, they're
Oh,
actually RC cars.
oh, never mind. It's all fuzzy. Yeah, those. Well, those are really big
Oh
consoles.
no no no! I have it. I have the blur enabled here. Okay.
Every collector I know is probably using a Fantastic. It just looks cooler, right? They probably got the ice blue
Not
one from
me.
Japan or something. Really? Using the great? Okay, you're not an N64 guy.
I bought it a month after, or I'm sorry, it was within the month it was released.
Okay.
So I have a first gen N64. I could probably RGB mod it, and it wouldn't really be that big of a deal, but I haven't.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's fine with S video.
Yeah.
Actually, that's something that just came to mind. So, looking at Dreamcast side by side, VGA and S video, it's VGA is considerably. It's not considerably. It's better, but if the S video was an option, would that be something that'd even be possible? You're obviously far more into electronic or engineering than I am. I'm a computer guy.
I don't really recall, but I think Dreamcast does have X video, but no one uses it.
It
It's
does
just
have S video
yeah.
because I've run that through the retro tank and then done side by sides with it, and it's not as bad. It's not as rich, but it's not bad in the least. And I was just thinking that could be an option. I don't know if that's even a possibility, but
Okay, it is an option, but first of all, most Dreamcast games already have VGA. Some games can
Hydro
be.
Thunder is one that is absolutely incompatible
Okay,
unless you have the second edition of it.
all right.
And there's a
Um,
couple others that I think Giga Wing is another one that's real big, but Hydro Thunder is the only one I personally have that will not work on VGA.
I see. There are some titles that won't work on VGA. They might even already have VGA coded in the game, but you have to trick the system to play it. Yeah, there are definitely some games that will never work no matter what you do. If you look
Okay.
at the amount of integrated circuits that can do VGA to HDMI, there's
Mhm.
probably dozens, and they're all they're cheap, like $3, $4 cheap. Um,
Okay.
but if you look at S video to HDMI, there's remarkably few. There's very,
Yes.
very few. Yeah, it's not an option.
Yeah. But Composite, on the other hand, has all kinds of options.
Well, yeah, because composites are just so widely available. Yeah, I'm surprised RGB is not as supported as well, but no. The harder it
In the
is,
US, we didn't even know about it. We just had the three little wires, and that was it.
yeah, yeah.
And actually, I had everything connected to RF for the longest time. So, I mean, I'd like to be able to plug the Dreamcast into and work with all my games, but it doesn't always. It's something you can live with.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't have Hydro Thunder on the GameCube and the PlayStation as well, which is the Dreamcast ports
Yeah.
of those games.
Um,
I had a general idea of what I wanted to talk about, but I tend to be more free flowing. So if I get an idea, it comes right out of my mouth. That's the way I do things.
no, that's about it. But as far as the retro gaming is concerned, I actually see the market shrinking quite a bit. It hit a high about 2007. It's actually getting
It's
a lot
unfortunate
smaller
when I
now.
started buying games
Yeah.
again.
But I'm actually looking forward to that because I'm looking forward to when retro gaming becomes affordable again. Yeah.
I would love to be able to buy a little Samson without taking out a loan.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to play all those great Saturn games. Like, I don't know why they're so expensive. It's just, yeah.
Nobody bought the Saturn here in the U.S. I remember when it was new. I would walk into electronics boutique back when it was that, and I'd see the $400 Saturn. They were giving away Virtua Fighter Remix and I think it even came with Virtua Fighter 2, and I'm looking at this, and oh well, look, the PlayStation's 300, and then you've got the N64, which I think was 250,
hmm
and these are killing it. Why would I even want to waste my time with this? It doesn't even look very good.
And my parents would have walked into the same store and said, "Hey, you can get a Super Nintendo for $20." Like, yeah.
You know what? That was the time to get into Super Nintendo. Just like, it's always at the tail end. Those are the games that cost so much now because nobody bought them.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was a kid, yeah, I could buy Super Nintendo games for the same cost as it cost my dad to rent a VHS tape. Yeah. I got tons of games as a result. But unfortunately, my mom threw them all away. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So when I moved out, my mother just said, take all your stuff with you.
Well, that's good. I mean, I tell my mom all the time, I rub it into her face, if you would let me keep all my stuff, it's a few $1,000s right there. Yeah.
I've told my son, he already knows he'll have my games one day, and I told him, don't sell your games. I don't care if you don't play them, just don't sell them.
Ugh, I made a huge mistake. A long time ago, my boss passed on it, and I told him you should really do this. And I thought about cashing out my retirement fund, but I knew a video game chain in the Midwest that was selling GameCubes, system only for $5. And I told myself, I know they're going to come up in value. And this guy was sitting on he had 7,000 GameCube systems he just needed to get rid of. That's why he was selling them so cheap. And I thought to myself, retirement fund or a storage unit of GameCube systems? Yeah, I should have got the GameCubes. Yeah, I really should have. Yeah, even right now, I kind of know it. Right now's the time to buy a bunch of Wii systems.
I have 2. That's enough.
I think used right now, a Wii system's like $30 working. Wii systems are pretty durable. But
they are. I
think that in the future they'll go up to 60, 80, but I just can't bring myself to buy a whole storage unit of them.
The D terminal,
So the GameCube component cable came in 2 styles. One was the component with 5 plugs, and one was the D terminal, which was a standard only used in Japan. Well, the D terminal GameCube component cable is a lot cheaper. I think you can get it for $50, and it works just as good as the original GameCube component cable.
Okay, so you didn't bother using an adapter with it. You just bought the D terminal. So I have to look that up.
I just bought a whole television that has a D terminal. I was like, okay, this is actually cheaper than because the original cable is like $250 in a bad condition, $300 normally, and
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I actually ended up buying 2 of those for development, but they're destroyed. We had to take them apart. Yeah.
I believe that. Yeah. It's ridiculously expensive, and that's why when I finally saw the Carby, I was like, "Oh wow, okay, $75," and then it was a few bucks shipping. Sure.
Yeah, it's a good deal. It's good quality too.
Yeah, it is very good quality. The early models were really quiet though. Have you ever used the M Classic?
I have not used the M Classic. I see them at a lot of trade shows, and I guess it just adds some smoothing and some upscaling.
I kid you not, my daughter and her friend were playing tag through Animal Crossing online.
Oh, what a new generation this is. Yeah.
I know.
Right, go to mommy.
But you know what? You've been on the phone with me for some time, so I am going to just thank you and let you go play with your kid because it sounds like she really wants attention, and mine are probably waiting for me as well.
Okay. Well, it was great talking to you. Any follow-up, let me know.
Likewise.
Yeah.
If you got this far, you probably liked the video. Well, how about checking out some of these other ones? And if you like them too, please subscribe. Have a good one.